We call it the Southwest. It's a vast area, over 530,000 square miles, that encompasses 5 states: Colorado, Utah, Nevada, Arizona, and New Mexico. For hundreds of millions of years, nature has been shaping this remarkable land, creating stunning works of breathtaking beauty and majesty. So it's not surprising that there are 11 national parks here, including the grandest of all, the Grand Canyon of the Colorado. But man, too, has left his mark on the land. Ancient peoples, Spanish conquistadors, pioneers, and miners. Their brief history, now myth and legend. To explore this, the land of legends, one needs only time and patience. The time to travel great distances, and the patience to simply get to where you want to go. Colorado. The name is Spanish for red or ruddy, the color of the great river for which the state is named. But it's not the river that draws millions of visitors each year. It's the rugged, majestic, spectacular Rocky Mountains. Here along the Continental Divide, that imaginary line which sends rivers flowing east or west, are the headwaters of 6 major rivers, including the Colorado, the Rio Grande, and the Arkansas. That imaginary line also divides Colorado into a western and eastern slope. In 1858, gold was discovered along Cherry Creek, just west of present-day Denver. It was the start of the Colorado Gold Rush. It was also the start of the Mile High City. Today, with a population of 500,000, Denver is not only the most important city in Colorado, it's the most important city in the entire Southwest. Sophisticated and cosmopolitan, Denver amiably blends the rich cultures of the Western pioneer and the Native American with those who have recently arrived from the urban East. And while she builds for the future, she carefully preserves the best of her past. Chances are some of the coins in your pocket or purse were minted in this building. It's the famous Denver Mint. Though established in 1862, it wasn't until 1906, 44 years later, when this building opened, that coins bearing the Denver D first went into circulation. Not far from the Mint is Denver's Civic Center. Here, surrounded by 3 blocks of manicured lawns and well-attended gardens, are Denver's City Hall, the largest public library in the Rocky Mountains, and the Denver Art Museum, where you'll find works of art from every culture and period of history. Across the expanse, the Capitol Dome shines in tribute to the state's gold rush. Colorado earned its nickname, the Centennial State, by joining the Union in 1876. Built in 1907 of granite and onyx, the state capitol is modeled after the U.S. Capitol in Washington, D.C. It's the 13th step of the west entrance that accounts for Denver's nickname, Mile High City. You guessed it, the step's elevation is exactly 5,280 feet. You probably won't need a map to find Rocky Mountain National Park, especially in summer. Just follow any car heading northwest toward Boulder. The park, only 65 miles from Denver, is a tourist magnet, attracting over 2 million people each year. Established in 1915, Rocky Mountain National Park covers 165,000 acres or 414 square miles. In every direction, there are vistas of breathtaking beauty. High mountain meadows, deep valleys and thick forests, snow-fed lakes and streams. Though Bear Lake Road is only 9 miles long, the trip through Moraine Park and Glacier Creek is one you'll long remember. Once at Bear Lake, you can hike the self-guided nature trail that circles the lake, or follow trails that will take you to even higher lakes and to Taylor and Tyndall Glacier. While the park's forests and meadows abound with more than 750 varieties of wildflowers, the park is also home to deer, American elk, bighorn sheep, coyote, mountain lion, bobcat, and black bear, which, if you're lucky, you just might see. About 130 miles south of the park, nestled along the Front Range of the Rockies, is Colorado Springs, a popular health spa and vacation spot. The city is also a center for military and space research, home to the United States Air Force Academy, headquarters for NORAD, the North American Air Defense Command, and the gateway to Pike's famous peak. At 14,110 feet, Pike's Peak is impressive. It certainly impressed Colonel Zebulon Pike, who discovered it in 1806. When he saw it, he declared the peak unattainable. Today, Pike's Peak is one of the most accessible mountains in Colorado. Its summit easily reached by either toll road or cog railway. In 1893, Catherine Lee Bates was so inspired by the view from the peak that she wrote the song, America the Beautiful. Equally accessible, but far less famous, is nearby Cheyenne Mountain. While NORAD's operational center commands the interior of the mountain, the Cheyenne Mountain Zoo commands the top. Once on top of Cheyenne Mountain, you should also visit the Shrine to the Sun, a memorial to American humorist Will Rogers. While Denver has its mountain parks, Colorado Springs has the Garden of the Gods, a 930-acre city park famous for its formations of red sandstone. The area is particularly beautiful at sunrise and sunset, when such spectacular sights as the cathedral spires, the gateway rocks, and the balanced rock seem to take on a warm, reddish glow. Sitting on a plateau in the shadow of Pikes Peak and Cheyenne Mountain is the United States Air Force Academy. Opened in 1958, the Air Force Academy, like West Point and Annapolis, trains young men and women for careers in the military. Self-guiding tours of the campus start at the Visitors Center. Follow the nature trail from the Visitors Center to the chapel and enjoy your first overall view of the Academy. During the academic year, see the noon meal formation, dress parades, varsity sports, and the celebration of June Week, cadet graduation, all make for a very memorable visit. Men have always known that there was gold and silver in them thar hills. The problem was always finding it. Today, the color of gold is the color of snow. More than 1/3 of all visitors to Colorado come here to ski. With over 36 major ski resort areas, Colorado is a downhill and cross-country paradise. It's hard to believe, but once ski resorts like Telluride, Breckenridge, and Aspen in the roaring Fork Valley were nearly ghost towns. In the 1880s, Aspen, for example, was a boom town, and these mountains rang with the sound of pickaxe and dynamite as men labored in 7 great silver mines. At its peak in 1888, Aspen had a population of over 12,000, and many of its best-preserved Victorian buildings date from that period. But by 1895, the town had gone bust. For the next 50 years, as its neighbors Ashcroft and Independence became ghost towns, Aspen lived on the edge of extinction. What saved it, as well as many other old mining towns, was recreational foresight and the profit potential of snow. Although it was an invention of the 20th century, Vail rivals Aspen as another of Colorado's premier ski areas, offering an array of activities from theater to golf. The Great Sand Dunes lie 34 miles northeast of Alamosa, at the foot of the Sangre de Cristo Mountains. Legend has it that this canyon is so dark and narrow that at high noon, if you look straight up, you'll see a sky filled with stars. You can test that legend if you find your way here to Black Canyon of the Gunnison. Here, the Gunnison River has cut a gorge 12 miles long and 2,000 feet straight down through solid granite. A gorge so deep and so narrow that light barely reaches the bottom. Tucked away in the southwest corner of Colorado is a unique region called the Four Corners. It's the only spot in the United States where the corners of 4 states, Colorado, Utah, Arizona, and New Mexico, meet. There are 2 attractions here that are especially worth the trip: Mesa Verde National Park and the Durango-Silverton Narrow Gauge Railroad. Durango, on the River of Lost Souls, made its name and reputation in the 1880s as a mining town and as the southern terminus of the Durango and Silverton Narrow Gauge Railroad. Today, the Silverton is America's oldest regularly scheduled narrow gauge railroad. It's been in continuous operation since 1882 and still uses its original passenger cars and coal-burning steam engines to make 2 daily round trips north to Silverton. Less than an hour west of Durango is one of America's major archaeological finds, Mesa Verde National Park. Mesa Verde, Spanish for green table, is a large plateau, 80 square miles in area, that rises 1,500 to 2,000 feet above the surrounding valleys. About the time the Crusaders were pounding on the gates of Jerusalem some 800 years ago, an ancient Indian people called the Anasazi began to build these incredible cliff dwellings. The cliffs provided protection from the weather, from predators, and from enemies. Today, these fragile cliff dwellings are all that remains of the gentle Anasazi culture. Like the Four Corners, Dinosaur National Monument traverses state borders. It lies roughly half in Colorado and half in Utah. The Colorado side is backpack country, primitive, wild, and incredibly scenic, while the Utah side, equally scenic, is dinosaur country. 7 miles north of Jensen, Utah, is the famous Dinosaur Quarry. In 1909, an expedition of paleontologists discovered the fossil skeleton of a 140-million-year-old Apatosaurus dinosaur in this quarry, and they've been digging here ever since. So far, over 350 tons of fossils have been found and removed, including the skeletons of more than 20 dinosaurs. If Colorado is a mountain state with a touch of desert, then Utah is a desert state with a touch of mountains. Pick any point on the compass or any moment in time, for Utah has more than enough historical parks, monuments, and museums, archaeological treasures, and geological puzzles to surprise and delight even the most experienced traveler. Take, for example, this geological puzzle. When Jim Bridger and Etienne Provost discovered this body of salt water in 1824, they thought they had found a part of the Pacific Ocean. But they soon discovered that this was no ocean. It was, in fact, a lake so salty that nothing could live in it but green algae and brine shrimp. A lake so salty that even if he tried, a man could not sink, but only bob on the surface like a cork. What the two explorers had discovered, of course, was the Great Salt Lake. After Jim Bridger came Jedediah Smith, John C. Fremont, and Kit Carson. Even the Donner Party, heading for California in 1846, passed this way. But it wasn't until 1847 that anyone had the courage to stop and to stay. In July of that year, Brigham Young, leader of the Mormons, entered this valley for the first time. What he saw at the foot of the Wasatch Mountains was a desolate, barren, inhospitable wilderness. And yet in his heart, he knew that this was the place. So he stayed and built a city. Today, Salt Lake City is a modern, prosperous metropolis, the center for Utah industry, business, and commerce. Salt Lake City was the first planned city in the West. It was laid out in a square grid fashion, as prescribed by Joseph Smith, founder of the Mormon faith in 1833. Today, all distances and all directions for travel in the city are given from the city's center point, Temple Square. Architecturally and spiritually, the most magnificent of the buildings here is the Mormon Temple, the very center of the Mormon faith. Inspired by a vision of Brigham Young, construction on the temple began in 1853. It was finished in 1893, 40 years to the day that the first stone was laid. Nearby is the Mormon Tabernacle, the home of the world-renowned Mormon Tabernacle Choir. The building, which seats 6,000, is noted for its perfect acoustics and for the great organ, which is made up of 12,000 individual pipes. Also of interest in the Temple Square area are the Seagull Monument, which commemorates the saving of the crops from a plague of crickets in 1848. The Museum of Church History and Art, the world's largest genealogical library, and the nearby Lion House and Beehive House, which once served as offices and residences of Brigham Young. Three blocks north of Temple Square, sitting on a bluff that provides a commanding view of the city and the Wasatch Mountains, is Utah's state capitol. Built in 1915 at a cost of $3 million, the Corinthian-style building is constructed of Utah granite and gray Georgia marble. Its 285-foot dome is covered with Utah copper. In the rotunda, a 6,000-pound chandelier hangs from the center of the dome on a 7,000-pound chain, while all around the upper walls, murals depict Utah's pioneer history. The city of Moab, at the foot of the Lasso Mountains in southeastern Utah, has also seen its share of history. It was near Moab in the 1880s and 90s that such legendary outlaws as Butch Cassidy, the Sundance Kid, and the Wild Bunch hid from the law. For this is a wild and scenic land, full of hidden canyons, deep gorges, and whitewater rivers. A remote part of Utah that inspired Zane Grey to write many of his Western novels and Hollywood to film many a Western movie. Today, Moab is also the gateway to Arches and Canyonlands National Parks. Located 5 miles northwest of Moab off Route 191, Arches National Park is a geological wonderland. 150 million years ago, this was the bed of an ancient sea. The sediments deposited here formed a layer of soft sandstone 300 feet thick. Then, over millions of years, wind and rain, the process of weathering, carved out a fantastic landscape of red rock. Canyons, spires, fins, windows, precariously balanced rocks, and arches, more than 960 arches at the last count. Canyonlands National Park spreads southwest from Moab over some 337,570 acres. It's a rugged and spectacular wilderness of canyons, arches, spires, and sheer-sided mesas, through which the Green and Colorado rivers flow and eventually meet. Canyonlands is a national park full of spectacular beauty and rugged adventure. In the far southwest corner of Utah, some 300 miles from Moab, are Bryce Canyon and Zion National Parks. Ebenezer Bryce, a Mormon settler from whom the national park is named, called the canyon a hell of a place to lose a cow. Ironically, Bryce Canyon isn't a canyon at all. It's really a series of horseshoe-shaped amphitheaters carved out of the eastern rim of the Ponsaugan Plateau by the Pereira River. Today, Bryce Canyon National Park encompasses some 56 square miles of strange and colorful geological formations, the most famous of which are these towering pillars called hoodoos. Like Bryce Canyon, Zion Canyon was named by the Mormon settlers who first explored it in the 1850s. It became a national park in 1919. Carved out of limestone, sandstone, and shale by the Virgin River, Zion Canyon is filled with remarkable formations that are described variously as cathedrals, temples, and thrones. Since there is little rainfall in Nevada and very few streams, Nevada has always been a harsh and difficult place to live. The first European explorers were Spaniards, seeking a passage from Mexico to California in 1776. They gave the state its name, Nevada, which means snow-capped. In fact, it's the snows of the Sierra Nevada mountains on the western edge of the Great Basin that supply Reno and Carson City with water. The Spaniards were soon followed by fur traders, map makers, settlers bound for California and Oregon. Today, the lifeblood of Nevada is tourism, with most visitors heading for the bright lights of Reno or Las Vegas, or the scenic beauty and recreational lures of Lake Tahoe or Lake Mead. Ironically, the two most important moments in Nevada history involved luck. The first was the discovery of gold in 1859. The second, the legalization of gambling in 1931. This is Virginia City, just a few miles south of Reno. It was here in 1859 that the gold rush began. In its heyday, in the mid-1870s, Virginia City was the second largest city in the West, with a population of nearly 30,000. Mark Twain, a reporter for the Territorial Enterprise, called it the liveliest town for its age and population that America had ever produced. It was also one of the richest cities in North America. The famous Comstock lode alone produced over $308 million worth of gold. The Big Bonanza, the Empire Mine, and many others helped push the final figure to $1 billion. Today, all that's left of the Comstock is a diagonal slit on the side of Mount Davidson. Virginia City itself, however, still has a wealth of historic buildings and restorations that are well worth exploring, all ghosts of a bygone age in a town that refused to die. Only 12 miles west of Virginia City in the foothills of the Sierra Nevada mountains is Carson City, another old mining camp that survived the boom and the bust of the 1880s. Named in honor of Kit Carson, the city became the state capital in 1864. Most of the city's historic buildings and homes are within a few blocks of the Capitol building, which was built between 1870 and 1871. Three of Carson City's best attractions are the Nevada State Museum, which is in the building that was once the famous Carson City Mint, the Nevada State Railroad Museum, which chronicles the history of the Virginia and Kentucky Railroad, and the Bowers Mansion, an extraordinary Italianate townhouse built in 1864 at a cost of $200,000. Until 1931, Reno was known mainly for its quick divorces. Then, in the mid-30s, the first casinos, Harold's Club, and Harrah's was built, and gambling put a whole new spin on life. Today, the biggest little city in the world is a city of perpetual motion, neon glitz, and never-ending hope. Reno is also home to Harrah's National Automobile Museum, a world-renowned museum that displays hundreds of vintage, classic, and special interest cars on life-size dioramas. Straddling the Nevada-California border, at an altitude of 6,229 feet, Lake Tahoe sits like a blue-green jewel in the crown of the Sierra Nevada mountains. 20 miles long and about 10 miles wide, this crystal-clear, pine-scented mountain lake has long been a center for sports and recreation. Route 28, which completely circles the lake, offers the best scenic views. Built to control the Colorado River and to provide hydroelectric power for California and the Southwest, Boulder Dam was an engineering wonder. To build the dam, workers excavated 9 million tons of rock, used enough structural steel to build the Empire State Building, install 840 miles of steel pipe, and poured 3.5 million cubic yards of concrete, enough concrete to have built a highway 20 feet wide from California to Florida. Dedicated as Hoover Dam in September 1935, the dam began generating hydroelectric power in October 1936. Today, rising 726 feet above Black Canyon, Hoover Dam is a major tourist attraction. Together, Hoover Dam and its 110-mile-long reservoir, Lake Mead, make up the Lake Mead National Recreational Area. In a way, Hoover Dam helped to create Las Vegas, for it not only provided the city the power to light its way, but the water to quench its thirst. Today, Nevada's largest city is a city that never sleeps. Attracting some 15 million visitors a year, Las Vegas offers a wide variety of entertainment, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Everything from gambling at the casinos to gambling at the altar. It's also the main stage for many of the world's leading entertainers. For 2 decades, one of the best was the man with one name, the late Liberace. Today, the Liberace Museum displays memorabilia of the entertainer's long career. Included are miniature and full-size pianos, a portion of his million-dollar wardrobe, and several antique and custom cars. If you enjoy beautifully restored cars, then also head over to the Imperial Palace, where you'll find an auto collection to rival Harrah's in Reno. Among the 200 antique and classic cars on display are an 1897 Haynes Apperson and cars that once belonged to the famous and infamous. Finally, before leaving Las Vegas, take the time to visit nearby Nellis Air Force Base. Nellis is home base for the United States Air Force's Precision Aerial Demonstration Team, the Thunderbirds. During the winter, the Thunderbirds train here and perfect their aerial demonstrations for the thrills and chills of summer air shows. In 1540, Francisco Vasquez de Coronado marched across what would someday become the state of Arizona. He was looking for the gold of the fabled 7 cities of Cibola. He never found the cities nor the gold. Perhaps he just didn't know where to look or how, because today gold can be found scattered all over Arizona, in Canyon de Chelly, and in the Grand Canyon. You find Arizona gold in the silent forests of the desert, and in the history and legends of Kit Carson, Billy the Kid, Cochise, Geronimo, Wyatt Earp, and Doc Holliday. There's gold, too, in the precious water that turns the dry, sun-baked Arizona desert into lush, green islands of life. Indeed, water, an ideal climate, a colorful, romantic, but violent history, and simply the breathtaking beauty have lured and enriched millions of travelers and vacationers who, like Coronado, came here seeking gold. What they found were priceless treasures that Coronado never dreamed of. Like the fabled bird from which it derives its name, Phoenix rose along the Salt River near ancient Indian ruins in what people today call the Valley of the Sun. With almost all rain falling conveniently in August, Phoenix averages 280 sunny days a year. Surrounded by mountains, Phoenix is an island of green hospitality with more than 1,000 tennis courts and 92 golf courses in an otherwise inhospitable desert. The desert itself can be studied at the 150-acre Desert Botanical Garden. The best overall view of the city is from Dobbins Lookout on the 2,330-foot summit of South Mountain. South Mountain is part of the Phoenix Mountain Preserve, a unique recreational area that covers 7,500 acres of desert and mountains just north of the city. Before Arizona became a state in 1912, this building, which dates from 1900, had been the territorial capital. When the state government moved to new quarters in 1974, it became the Arizona State Capitol Museum. Now fully restored to its former glory, the museum is a repository of artifacts and documents from Arizona's more recent history. Exhibits include an exact recreation of the governor's office, as well as the former House and Senate chambers, as they were in 1912. At the Hurd Museum of Anthropology and Primitive Arts, exhibits of art and artifacts trace the life and times of Indians from the desert, the uplands, and the Colorado Plateau. Also on display is a superb collection of over 400 Kachina dolls, many donated by Arizona Senator Barry Goldwater. Beyond modern Phoenix, the Arizona landscape is haunted by the spirits and the ruins of many ancient peoples, some dating back 12,000 years. When this remarkable 5-story, 20-room structure was discovered in 1864, explorers thought it had been built by Aztecs, so they named it Montezuma's Castle. Today, we know that it was built by the Sinawa Indians some 800 years ago. Located near Cottonwood, just south of Flagstaff, Montezuma's Castle is today a national monument. Although visitors are not permitted to enter the castle, a self-guiding tour along Beaver Creek offers good views of the structure. Just north of Montezuma's Castle, Arizona Highway 179 splits off from US 17, the main road to Flagstaff, and heads straight to Sedona, known for its stunning red rock mesas and canyons. By far the most beautiful, as well as the most photographed, is Oak Creek Canyon. Known for its excellent trout fishing, the canyon winds for 16 miles through a deep, pine-covered gorge, past equally spectacular sandstone mesas. If it all looks familiar, it should, because rugged Oak Creek Canyon has long been a favorite location for Western movies. The difference between Phoenix and Flagstaff is about 138 miles and 5,782 feet of elevation, which is why Phoenix is surrounded by cactus, and Flagstaff by the tall pines of the Conconsino National Forest. Founded in 1876, Flagstaff got its name when a tall pine was stripped of its branches and Old Glory run up in celebration of the 4th of July. Eventually, every Arizona traveler comes to Flagstaff, for this is the starting and finishing point for what might be called the Great Circle Tour of northern Arizona, a 400-mile round trip that includes the Petrified Forest, Canyon de Chelly, the Grand Canyon, and a trip to the moon. At a distance of 253,000 miles from the center of the Earth, only a handful of tourists have gotten a close-up look at the craters on the moon. Luckily for us earthbound tourists, we have only to travel about 40 miles east of Flagstaff to visit the world's best preserved and only privately owned meteor crater. The crater was formed some 22,000 years ago by the impact of a giant nickel-iron meteorite. Striking the Earth at 43,000 miles per hour, the meteorite vaporized on impact and displaced 300 million tons of rock to form this crater. 3 miles in circumference, 4,150 feet from rim to rim, and 570 feet deep, the meteor crater is so big that if it were a football stadium, it would seat over 2 million fans. If a visit to the meteor crater is a step back in time, then a visit to the Petrified Forest is a giant leap. 225 million years before the meteor crater was formed, this desert was a swamp. To the west and southwest, there were uplands covered with coniferous trees. When the trees died, they were often carried here by the streams and ponds that fed the swamp. Buried under sediments and volcanic ash for millions of years, the trees gradually became petrified. What had once been living tissue became stone, stone stained by iron oxide into a rainbow of colors. Located just east of Holbrook, the Petrified Forest National Park also includes a portion of the Painted Desert, a landscape of mesas, pinnacles, and canyons that gets its name from the ever-changing colors produced by the interaction of sunlight and passing clouds. From the Petrified Forest, the Great Circle Tour heads north up Highway 191 toward Canyon de Chelly. This is Indian country. The entire northeast corner of Arizona, some 25,000 square miles, is occupied today by the Navajo and Hopi Indian reservations. But 2,000 years ago, this was the land of the Anasazi. Today, all that remains of the Anasazi culture are the cliff dwellings at Canyon de Chelly National Monument. They were built between 700 and 1300 AD. Although there are over 700 prehistoric sites in the 26-mile-long canyon, the best preserved are White House ruins, Antelope House, and Mummy Cave. From Canyon de Chelly, it's about 300 miles west, across the Navajo Reservation to Desert View. Here, from the watchtower, westbound travelers en route to the national park get their first view of the Grand Canyon. Carved over millions of years by the Colorado River, the canyon is 277 miles long, an average of 10 miles wide and nearly 1 mile deep. But only a small portion of the canyon, 1.2 million acres, makes up Grand Canyon National Park. While the North Rim is open only in summer, the South Rim is open all year. The center of the park is Grand Canyon Village, and all distances to park attractions are measured from Bright Angel Lodge. It is 7 miles via the South Kaibab Trail and 9 miles via Bright Angel Trail from the South Rim to the canyon bottom and the Colorado River 4,460 feet below. On average, the hike down takes 4 hours. The hike back up 8 to 10, which is why many people prefer to ride down on muleback on guided trips that take 1 to 3 days. The park is designed for all ages and all interests, and even a leisurely exploration of the South Rim will lead to wonderful discoveries: Lookout Studio, Hopi House, the Yavapai Museum, and numerous scenic overlooks. You may even want to take your first flight in a helicopter. It's a visit you'll never forget. In 1776, the Spanish built a military garrison on the west bank of the Santa Cruz River. They named it Presidio San Agustin del Tucson, after an Indian word that meant the springs at the foot of the Black Hill. Today we simply call it Tucson. The Spanish garrison is long gone, but this church, Mission San Xavier del Bac, remains. Built between 1783 and 1798, by Franciscan missionaries, the White Dove of the Desert is perhaps the finest example of Spanish colonial architecture in the Southwest. 117 miles south of Phoenix and only 60 miles north of the U.S.-Mexican border, modern Tucson lies in a valley in the middle of the Sonoran Desert. It's surrounded by 4 mountain ranges and the Saguaro National Monument. At night, these giant cactus, found only in the Sonoran Desert, are often mistaken for people. They live long, some 200 years, and grow very tall, up to 50 feet. The cactus are home to the Gila woodpecker and the Gildan flicker, and local Indians use the fruit of the cactus to make wine. There is another kind of wine in Tucson, one that visitors of all ages come here to enjoy: sunshine. With more than 350 days of sunshine yearly, Tucson has become Arizona's second largest resort area. One place that combines spectacular scenery with spectacular adventure is Tucson Mountain Park. Here, among 17,000 acres of mesas and saguaro cactus, are 2 unique attractions: one fact, one fantasy. The fantasy is Old Tucson, a Western theme park. Old Tucson was originally built in 1939 as a set for the movie Arizona. Since then, it has been seen in countless movies, TV series, and commercials. Today, Old Tucson recreates Western fantasies on a daily basis. Part zoo, part botanical gardens, part museum, the Arizona Sonora Desert Museum is all fact. While it focuses on plants and animals that are indigenous to the Sonoran Desert, the Arizona State Museum focuses on the 12,000-year history of human migration and settlement in Arizona. Down the road from Tucson, archaeology is the focus of the Amarin Foundation Museum, located just outside the town of Dragoon. Founded in 1937 by William Shirley, an avid amateur archaeologist from Connecticut, it's known unofficially as the Museum of the Americas. While the 25,000-item collection spanning some 10,000 years of cultural history focuses mainly on cultures of the Southwest, the peoples of the Pacific Northwest, the Arctic, and the high Indian civilizations of Mexico and South America are also represented. An art gallery located in a separate building displays works by noted Western artists William Lee and Frederick Remington, as well as art by Native Americans. One art that will never be revived or collected is the art of gunfighting. It reached its peak here in Tombstone in the 1880s. Though it was best known for its gambling dens, dance halls, brothels, and saloons, of which there were 110, Tombstone was never a lawless town, nor without its virtues. Even so, Tombstone will forever be remembered for one 30-second burst of violence, the gunfight at the OK Corral. It was here on October 26, 1881, that the Earps, Wyatt, Virgil, and Morgan, along with John Doc Holliday, shot it out with Ike and Billy Clanton and Frank and Tom McClory. What started the feud is still a matter of speculation. How it ended is a footnote of history. 3 dead, hurled into eternity, was how the Tombstone epitaph put it. 2 wounded and 1 skedaddle. But that's how a lot of men ended up here, in Boot Hill. In fact, there are 250 graves here, of which 180 are marked Desperado. While the Old West is never coming back, as long as its travelers find their way here to revel in its image and its spirit, towns like Tombstone, Arizona will never need an epitaph. New Mexico calls itself the land of enchantment, and enchanting it is. A rich land of diverse landscapes, peoples, and cultures that attracts 23 million visitors each year. Like Montezuma's castle in Arizona, the Pueblo ruins at Aztec National Monument are misnamed. They were actually built by the Anasazi beginning in 1110 A.D. Archaeological evidence suggests that Aztec may have been built by the same Anasazi who built Mesa Verde, some 40 miles northwest in Colorado. Today, Aztec is noted for its Great Kiva, a remarkable ceremonial building 48 feet in diameter that has been completely reconstructed. It could be argued that Los Alamos is the only city in America bombed into existence, for it was here between 1942 and 1945 that 3,000 scientists and technicians assigned to the top-secret Manhattan Project gave birth to the atomic bomb. While the Los Alamos County Historical Museum features exhibits on the early days of the Manhattan Project, the Bradbury Science Museum features the casings of Fat Man and Little Boy, the 2 bombs dropped on Japan in August 1945. Not far from Los Alamos, in a rugged canyon on the Payarito Plateau, are the ruins of another Anasazi pueblo. The Anasazi lived here for some 400 years, probably between 1150 and 1550 A.D. Today, this remarkable site, along with the 42-square-mile area of scenic wilderness, make up Bandelier National Monument. At the southern end of the Rocky Mountains, at the base of a range called Sangre de Cristo, Blood of Christ, lies the oldest European community west of the Mississippi, Santa Fe, the capital of New Mexico. For nearly 400 years, the center of life in Santa Fe has been this historic plaza. It was here, for example, that the Santa Fe Trail ended, so it's appropriate that any tour of old Santa Fe should begin here. When Pedro de Peralta, the second Spanish governor of New Mexico, laid out the plaza in 1610, work also began on the Palace of Governors. Today, inside, it's a museum devoted to New Mexico history, while outside, on the porch, Indian artisans exhibit and sell their wares, just as they have for hundreds of years. Also in the plaza is the Santa Fe Museum of Fine Arts, which houses 20th century and traditional Southwestern art. 3 blocks south of the plaza, on the old Santa Fe Trail, is the Mission of San Miguel of Santa Fe. It was begun in 1610, partially destroyed by fire in the Pueblo Rebellion of 1680, and rebuilt in 1710. The church is adorned with many priceless old-world ornaments and paintings, including this bell, which was cast in Spain in 1356. Along with its history and architecture, Santa Fe is also known for its art and artists, many of whom live and work along Canyon Road. About 1 hour's drive south of Santa Fe, at the foot of the Sandia Mountains, is Albuquerque, New Mexico's largest city. With a population of 446,000, the city spreads out over 100 square miles of the Rio Grande Valley. For a spectacular view of the valley, head for the Sandia Peak aerial tramway. It's located in the Cibola National Forest, only 5 miles north of the city. Open all year, the tramway will carry you nearly 3 miles up the west slope of Sandia Mountains to its 10,378-foot summit. Just west of Albuquerque is a city that is 1,000 years older than Santa Fe, a city in the sky. It's called Acoma Pueblo, and is said to be the oldest continuously inhabited site in the United States. It was built for defense on a mesa that rises 357 feet above the surrounding plain. Though no one knows exactly when it was built, archaeologists believe that pueblos were here as early as 600 AD. Life on the mesa was difficult and precarious. Though water was caught in rock basins, all food, all firewood, all building materials had to be brought up from below. Eventually, after nearly 100 years of bloody warfare, the Spanish conquered Sky City, and in 1629 built the San Esteban de Acoma Mission. 15 miles southwest of Alamogordo, in the middle of the desert, is an ocean of white sand. Unlike beach sand, which is usually silica, this sand is pure gypsum, the material from which plaster of Paris is made. This geologic phenomenon is so unique that 146,535 acres of this dazzling ocean have been set aside as White Sands National Monument. Finally, before leaving Alamogordo, be sure to schedule a couple of hours to explore the International Space Hall of Fame. Exhibits of space equipment and space suits, as well as historic photographs and films from international space programs, pay tribute to nearly 100 space pioneers from 14 nations. In the foothills of the Guadalupe Mountains, in the southeastern corner of New Mexico, are the Carlsbad Caverns. First explored in 1900, the caverns were originally called Bat Cave, and huge swarms of bats still take flight on warm summer evenings. Today, the caverns are part of the 73-square-mile Carlsbad Caverns National Park. The caverns are made up of a series of enormous rooms formed by groundwater, eating through limestone that was formed some 250 million years ago. So far, 21 miles of corridors and chambers, one as big as 14 football fields, have been explored and mapped. Except in winter, tours of the caverns are self-guiding. If Coronado were searching today for the fabled 7 cities of gold, he'd have no trouble finding them, because they're Denver and Tucson, Salt Lake City and Phoenix, Santa Fe, Reno, Las Vegas, and hundreds of other cities and towns scattered throughout the Southwest, which offer travelers and tourists, vacationers and adventurers so many golden opportunities to discover, explore, and enjoy the priceless treasures of Colorado, Utah, Nevada, Arizona, and New Mexico. We hope this brief tour of the Southwest has informed, enlightened, surprised, and inspired you to plan your own visit. After all, the best trip is the one you take yourself. Remember, to make your trip to the Southwest as enjoyable as possible, plan ahead. And be sure to contact your AAA office for current and detailed information on travel routes, accommodations, places to eat, and the attractions you want to visit. Happy traveling.